Item 1 on our agenda for this meeting is to review the agenda for tonight's regular council meeting that will be held upstairs. I know we had a lengthy meeting on this last Thursday, but council, any additional questions regarding our agenda, anything on the agenda tonight?
Mayor,
Yes, Mr. Brady.
we do have, Mary, do you want to review item 10 for the council?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Reedy. For item number 10A, the address on there for the map of dedication for the destination of Gateway, it says Gatewood, and it should be Gateway. So just want to get that into the record.
Okay.
There's no.
Maybe I have an updated version. So the
name of the
the agenda that went out initially said Gatewood.
Right,
Okay.
Well, the name of the street on here says Gatewood Auto Drive.
it doesn't exist. It's Gateway, so we'll read that into the record.
Okay. Do we need to renotice that, or are we okay?
No, Mayor, this is an auto drive for an auto mall. It's currently not a road in Mesa.
Oh, okay.
And so for notice purposes, all the other roads, which are correctly notified, or gave the notice, we're just correcting a typographical error.
Okay.
And so for a road that doesn't exist, for an auto drive. And so that's what it's gonna be.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Julie?
Unmuted. I just was curious because maybe I don't know this, but on 11A, when we are, a proposed annexation is just an annexation of land. But if it's for a development, are we, like, when we approve a land annexation, we're not approving anything with a proposed development to go on that annexation yet, right? Oh, I guess I don't know who I'm.
I'll say, this is just the release of the petitions for an annexation. So this is a very procedural requirement that the state requires. It's literally just saying you're allowed to now submit signatures of property owners to come back to council to decide the annexation in the future. And so.
So this is just
you're-
the release of
you're-
the petition, or
Right.
saying they can do a petition. Then you would approve an annexation before you would ever approve any kind of development then?
So many times we bring the so in the future, the annexation, assuming they'll get the signatures, I believe there's only one property owner, so I assume that signature will occur and they'll come back to council. It'll come with a zoning case. And so the annexation and the zoning and sometimes the development will all come as one.
Okay,
And it's usually a series of items, so it'll be whatever number it is, and it'll be an A, B, and sometimes a C.
okay, that's probably why I was confused. We just got an email like minutes before that I read before this meeting about that development that's proposed for this annexation, but I didn't know anything about it because that's not what's on the agenda, right? So,
Mayor, Councilmember Spilsbury, that's correct. The zoning case itself is not on the agenda. That will likely be coming back in January. So that will be on the January agenda with the intro of the ordinance for the annexation.
okay.
So there'll be another hearing about the annexation. There'll be additional meetings after that regarding the zoning case. This is just releasing the petitions.
Okay.
Great. Other questions regarding tonight's agenda? Mr. Freeman?
Thank you. Do we have anything off the agenda tonight?
We have the public hearing on the annexation that we just talked about a second ago, and then we have the audit. So there currently are 2 items off of the consent.
I think we're going to need to pull 5C.
I think
for the
we're
street call. Is that-
expecting that, I've heard rumor that there will be folks
Should
that
be
want to
some
pull
report
that.
on So I have a question on that. I wasn't able to attend the study session, but one of the advantages I had, I got to listen to it.
Our 90-minute robust
Yeah, it
conversation.
was very great. Gave me a lot of things to think about. So I just want to share with you. So I was out of state on a conference, but one of the things, maybe Jody can answer these questions for me. One of the things that you first started out was the population area project and growth by 2050, 55%, and then the next one, employment study area. Was that a combination of Tempe and Mesa, or just Mesa?
It's a combination of Tempe and Mesa.
Okay.
That, we don't break it out because it's the study area, it's the whole corridor, and includes both communities. We don't break it out for the study purposes because it's one, as far as the study is concerned, it's one entity.
Is that because of the way the grant is written, the DOT grant?
No, it's the way just these studies are approached, because we're not breaking it out as a Tempe project and a Mesa project. It's one project, so we look at everything together in one area.
Did we identify any other future growth areas in the study area for economic development?
Well, that studies, we're looking at the possible streetcar alignment. The Mesa TOD, the Mesa Connected TOD study is looking at the land use and possible redevelopment areas.
Okay. I think I had to make some notes. Julie had a lot of good questions. In fact, all the council members, y'all.
Freeman, on the attachment on number 19, there is a breakdown there if you're interested.
Okay, good. The ridership, I just wanted to ask a question on the ridership. I know Tempe, it was mentioned that they had a 28%, I think, increase in ridership than they first anticipated. Is that because of the location of their streetcar being downtown, close to the university, the restaurants, and other things? Do you think that drove it up, or?
Well, when we approach a project like this, we look at, areas that are going to drive ridership, areas that would have a high density. So obviously in that area, that's an area that is driving ridership. I think what increased it is just people got used to it being around, and that increased some of that ridership. They got used to seeing the benefits and some of the ease on how it worked, and that for them, that worked for them.
Okay. And initially, I think the cost was shared about $192 million for
Correct.
that streetcar. So we anticipate it'd probably be higher than that today if it were to be built in the future.
Most likely, yes.
Okay.
40% of it's ours.
Pardon me?
40% of it's ours.
Yes, not 40% of the total. So the project is funded, has 3 different funding sources right now identified for it. One would be we would apply for a capital improvement grant from FTA. Then there is what Meg calls regional money, which is formula federal money that comes into the region. We would get a portion of that, and then the local communities would fund, depending on how much the CIG grant fund, capital improvement grant funds, we would fund between 20 and 30% of that. So we would be 40% of that 20 to 30%.
Okay.
Okay, that answers my questions for now. Thanks. I'll save them for later.
Okay.
Okay. On that topic of 5C, I just want to make sure we're all crystal clear on what we're voting on, but more importantly, what we're not voting on. Right? We are not this is not the decision to commit to streetcar. This is the decision to say we're going to spend that money that the federal government gave us to study streetcar. And then we'll come back and we'll know. Right now, we're all kind of shooting from the hip, and how much is this going to cost? Where's it going to go? Is, this a magnet for crime? All of the issues that are, in the orbit here are all just speculation. And the question in my mind is, do we want to kill this before we even, do we want to put our fingers in our ears and say, we don't care what the facts are, don't confuse us with the facts, we're going to make a decision before we have the facts? Or are we going to spend the money that we were given for the purpose that it was given to us, not give it back, or not, Jody, what will happen if we say, no, we don't want this money?
If we choose not to move forward and don't want this money, that money will go to Tempe. We will give it up on our half of it, and the money will go to Tempe for Tempe to use to develop their part of that.
Okay.
You'll have streetcar to just go through
Yeah,
and turns around and goes back.
Tempe will just study their
Their part.
alignment.
they're part of it,
Yeah.
yes.
And Mesa, we'll just make decisions in the future about whether to participate in that alignment. Well, without the benefit of having studies that.
Well, I
flesh
don't
out
know
the-
you can
the data.
proceed. I mean, some of these studies are required in order to even be considered
Yeah.
for future funding.
Yeah.
So-
Right.
So effectively, we could kill this idea today, or we could say we're going to gather more facts and have this significant vote in 18 to 24 months from now.
Correct.
Okay, Julie.
So, and I appreciate that, because that is what we're voting on today. And so I think that's an important distinction to make. I do want to just really emphasize and suggest that we don't do any of this without more community input. And the community that's closest to this is not feeling heard. They feel like they got some misinformation and that wasn't corrected, that they haven't had a community meeting since that information was corrected. And so I just really want to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure the community is involved, and that also we really can come up with some good hard data of the crime perception that from the light rail. So I've talked to Mr. Butler and police to see what we can do about getting some more hard data to help with that. And then also I know one of their other concerns is just potential construction traffic and traffic. So like, let's really dig into those and see what we can come up with to help that neighborhood. I think that's an important part of moving forward with the study, just
Yes.
making sure their voice is heard.
I would agree.
Thank you. So is part of the schedule, of what the additional study would entail, what role does community engagement play in that?
It would play a significant role because we're getting into the down and dirty facts. So we would go, right now, if we move forward, there will be outreach in the spring, and we'll continue to have one-on-one, we'll have general larger outreach, but continue to have one-on-one smaller group conversations with stakeholders as we go through different parts of the study to share information and get that feedback, whether it's ridership data, construction impacts, traffic impacts, all along those sources, we would continue to have those conversations.
All right, thank you. Council, other questions? Mr. Summers?
Could we please remove 8A and 8B from the consent agenda? Also, Mayor, if it's your pleasure, could we take 8B in the vote before 8A? I would like to keep them separate. The order for 8A and 8B are flipped in a conversation I had with the city attorney.
Okay, so remove 8B and 8A and vote on them in that order.
Yes, that would be my
Okay.
preference.
All right, that's what we'll do. Council, other questions regarding tonight's agenda? All right, moving on then. Item 2 on the agenda for this meeting is to acknowledge receipt of meeting minutes. Thank you for that motion, Mr. Summers, seconded by the Vice Mayor. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, that passes unanimously. Next is current events and conferences attended. Council members, anything you'd like to share with us, Mr. Summers?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to congratulate, I believe it's 16 of our newest members of the Mesa Fire and Medical Department who graduated from the Regional Fire Academy this past Friday, along with several members from, I'm trying to remember now, who is Superstition Fire and Medical, which is adjacent and part of our mutual automatic aid system. I believe, oh boy, they were to Florence and Casa Grande. All, those four were all participating in the event as well, so it was extremely well attended.
That's
Did a
great.
great job speaking.
Yes, and I kept it to the time frame I was
Yes.
given, which is, I know you were very
It's
appreciative of that.
amazing.
Thank you. Who else would like to share? Jen?
I just have a couple things. I think it was Friday, I attended an Arizona Downtown Roundtable. Is the Arizona Downtowns across the state, is mostly basically in the metropolitan area, with Tracy Dorn, which is from the DMA, the Downtown Mesa Association. And we discussed the crossover of tourism and downtown marketing. So I think it was a great conversation to have for where we are in Mesa. I also attended the East Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce Christmas Posada last Thursday, celebrating the Latino businesses that we have in our city and all that they contribute. Mesa Book Festival, a lot of us, I know Alicia was there, and Mark. We all were able to read at the Mesa Book Festival in downtown Mesa on McDonald at the Christmas tree. We got to sit in almost like a Santa chair and read a book to children. As well attended, there's over a couple thousand attendees. And this is an annual event. It usually is at Benedictine University and the parking area there. And having it in the middle of downtown next to the Christmas tree, it was well received and very popular. Of course, we had many city departments represented there, the library, First Things First, a lot of organizations about children's literacy. It was a good event. That's it.
Great, thank you. Julie?
On Friday, Frankie, Councilmember Heredia and I went and helped cut a ribbon for See's Candy, which was fun. Dobson and Southern area. Got some goodie bags you guys missed out. But that's exciting to have a whole new renovated space there for season. There was, I don't know, probably about 100 people in line already by the time we got there. Yeah.
Just in time for the holidays.
Yep. And then Saturday, I got to one of my favorite things. I got to go and be a judge for the We the People competition, the high school competition with schools all over the valley. And I just, again, love being with those teenagers and hearing what they have to say. They're so smart, and that was a really great experience. And yeah, that's it.
Great. Anyone else? I apologize, I missed a couple of those events. I apologize for missing the firefighter graduation in particular. This week, and we're going to talk about this upstairs because I'm reporting on a major award that Mesa received over the weekend. It was an international award. There were hundreds of cities that were competing for this award, and there was the finals involved 8 cities from across the world. Mesa was the only city from the United States that made it to that level. And then we were one of two of the 8 cities that actually won the award. And this was the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Innovation Award. So during our awards and recognitions upstairs, we'll talk a little bit more about that. That someone from the organization will be here to compliment Mesa on receiving that award. But thank you to all the effort that's gone into it with our city staff on sustainability, and it bore some fruit. I got some international recognition over the weekend. All right, Council, anything else you'd like to share with us? Moving forward then, Mr. Brady, what does our schedule of future meetings look like?
Well, there's not many.
That's right. We're on the cusp of starting our holiday break here, aren't we?
So this is our last study session for 2024. The next council meeting will be Thursday, January 9th at 7:30 a.m. here in the study session meeting room. But we also want to remember that we'll have the new mayor and new council members swearing in ceremony on Tuesday, January 7th at the Piper Theater at the Mesa Arts Center. Doors will open at 5 p.m. and the swearing in begins at 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our agenda for this meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn? Thank you, Mr. Summers. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned, and we will reconvene upstairs at 5:45.